The rise of create your own avatars within gaming has surged over the past few years. More and more gamers have been drawn to this level of customization and personal experience that only an avatar, a projection of the player, can give. While character inserts are nothing new, The Legend of Zelda features Link, one of the most prominent examples, and he's a universally adored character in all of video games, despite the creators even saying they only created him to be the link between a player and the game. And while that's all well and good, even Link fails to truly encompass what an avatar represents in contemporary gaming discourse. For an avatar is more than just a link between you and the game, it is you in the game. And the you is a very loose definition. For an avatar is what you, as the player, choose to be, how we choose to present ourselves in the world of the game. The digital and metaphysical nature of the concept allows the complete disparity and suspension of disbelief about the authenticity of the avatar. As a result, we have avatars ranging from perfect recreations of ourselves to monstrous constructs of our own psyche. And by no surprise, a novel based on a video game encompasses this exact spectrum. In Ernest Cline's novel, Ready Player One, the characters within the story all have varying avatars when they're navigating the Oasis, the super popular virtual reality video game of the novel. However, not all avatars embody the same experience, so let's look at Ready Player One, the novel, and I should clarify I'll be using the novel, not the film, as an interesting articulation of the intricate act of avatar creation. Common knowledge among game designers is that character creation video game exists to simulate the immersion of the player, regardless of what an avatar looks like, because different people create various avatars for different reasons. Ready Player One plays in this exact concept, with Parsifal, Artemis, and H's avatars all vary for these exact reasons. And much like how each of them represent gamers, each of them mirror the type of avatars people model their characters after. And the novel essentially segments into three styles of avatar creation: projectors, avatars born to match the appearance of their user perfectly or near perfectly; idolizers, avatars that grant the user ability to embody an idealized form of themselves, normally humanoid style; and escapers, avatars that are drastically different from the user, which usually manifest into a monster or creature of some kind. Let's start by looking at the first avatar I mentioned, the projector. A quick quote from the novel: "No one ever looks anything like their avatar." Samantha Artemis Cook, Klein 171. Surprisingly, almost born to contradict the quote, and fittingly Artemis herself, projectors create their avatars as a stunning reflection of their actual appearance. Projectors are the most intuitive form of avatar because when you're opted to create a link between the game and themselves, a player will, quite literally, put themselves in the game. Projectors manifest most in games that already depict realistic avatars, for example, Second Life or The Sims. Also, several gaming networks create a player hub for projectors to create and play with an avatar themselves with their online friends to simulate offline hangout sessions. But obviously, projectors aren't just limited to realistic games. They appeals the same for sci-fi or fantasy, all the action, that giant dragon trying to obliterate you, that giant squid suffocating you, and that giant world-ending baddie. Yeah, they're all going to be stopped by you. While all avatars act as some sense of escape, projectors appear to be the most confident in their own appearance, and thus they truly desire to interact with the world of the game with their own frame of mind. Arguably a bit selfish, maybe, but projectors seek to tackle any game world as themselves, so it's a very light form of escapism. And so let's look at Artemis, or Samantha Cook, as she makes the prime example of a projector from Ready Player One. As with every character, Artemis has her insecurities, but they're not expressed in the same manner as Wade or H. If anything, her insecurity stems from people insulting her lack of authenticity. From the book, everyone thinks I'm a man in real life, Klein 170. And if we read her as a projector, this makes sense. Artemis navigates the Oasis as herself, with an avatar that matches her appearance. Even her first meeting with Wade, she opens with, "Who the hell are you?" and even later with her claiming she's chaotic neutral. If not familiar with Dungeons and Dragons terms, chaotic neutral is someone who's completely self-driven, never molding to fit any agenda, someone who acts completely of their own accord. So, it seems to support that Artemis is unabashedly herself. She does not try to charm Wade, nor to lie to him. She simply acts as herself because she has a stronger base of confidence, which coincides with her avatar of choice. She doesn't hide anything. Maybe she changes her avatar to hide her port wine stain, which is discovered later in the novel, but compared to the copious amounts of change other characters use and the Oasis offers, this choice seems very tame. Therefore, it seems safe to conclude that Artemis makes a good example for a projector. But in reality, it can be boring to some people, so there are those that seek a heavier release, like idolizers, our second category. Another quick quote. In the Oasis, you could become whomever and whatever you wanted to be. Wade Parsifal Watts, Klein 57. From Wade's own words, idolizers are avatars that allow the user to embody the idealized form of themselves. Idolizers' avatars do somewhat reflect the original appearance, but normally they're tweaked to the user's liking in a way that allows them to invest themselves more into the world. Or possibly, as their avatar is a character within the world of the story, they modify their self-image to fit the mold of the established fantasy. Idolizers are found across the board of genres. The design isn't always the same, maybe an elf from Final Fantasy XIV or a cyborg from Destiny, but there's still an era of familiarity between avatars. Idolizers can embed themselves in the design of the world, as if their navigating has become part of them and thus reflects on their character. And the concept doesn't just end with the exterior for the idolizers. Idolizers' personality can alter and change to fit their idealized version of themselves. The quiet, skinny kid now becomes an idealized version of himself where he carries over his same features, but he's strong, charismatic, and slays monsters. An idolizer seeks that level of escapism. They seek not to run away entirely from who they are, but to chase after a version of themselves they wish they could become. And that's where the game comes in, with the avatar. So whether it be through personality or appearance, idolizers find their best selves in the game. And let's look at Wade Watts, our crowning hero, his avatar Parsifal from Ready Player One, because he perfectly aligns with the idolizer. From the beginning of the story, Wade is shown to be insecure about his weight and appearance, so his avatar Parsifal looks, from the book, more or else like my own, but with a slightly smaller nose. He was taller, and thinner, and more masculine. Klein 28. Obviously, from Wade's description of Parsifal, he is the prime example of an idolizer avatar. An exterior with a resemblance more aligns with what Wade wants to be. An Oasis allows Wade to manifest this version of himself, an act in itself gratifying. So already, Parsifal's appearance works, but this continues even more. Towards the middle of the book, Wade is all alone in his apartment for some reflection. In real life, I was nothing but an antisocial hermit, a recluse. I was just another sad, lonely, lost soul. Which shifts into in the Oasis, I was the great Parsifal, world-famous gunter and international celebrity, 198. Wade is disgusted with himself, and his insecurities are plain to see, both with his physical appearance and his life, and that's why he needs his avatar Parsifal and the Oasis. For Wade doesn't see Parsifal as a completely separate identity. Wade knows Parsifal is him, and the dichotomy of his two lives makes him the perfect idolizer archetype. Yet, his attitude when Parsifal is altered, but it's more a facet for him to express who he truly is. But this isn't just it. One can embrace the fantasy even more with our last category, escapers. Never imagined what? That the famous H, renowned hunter, gunter, and the most feared and ruthless arena combat was a fat black chick? Helen H. Harris and Wade Parsifal Watts, Klein 321. Escapers, the ones who truly embrace the nature of a fantasy world. The ones who deny any semblance of reality or, quite sadly, seek to further themselves near completely from who they are. However, escapers make up the most diverse group of avatars as the very nature of them implies a complete distance from avatar and player. Escapers probably refrain from mundane day-to-day life simulators and instead go straight for the purely fantastical genres of games where their avatars reflect the imagination of a player. Maybe Skylanders or World of Warcraft games where the protagonist or hero may not be human, but allow for a connection. The avatar is still link and escaper to the game, but contrary to the other two types of avatars, an escaper avatar distracts the player from their own world and allows them to embody another entity that they feel more comfortable in. One that also likely belongs to the world of the game in terms of appearance. Escapers will likely leave it all behind, and as a result, this might yield a more authentic depiction of their personality, resulting, as the name suggests, in a very heavy level of escapism on the player's behalf. So let's look at Helen Harris, or H, from Ready Player One, or as an interesting take on the concept of an escaper. When H first appears, she obviously appears as a he, but he's a tall, broad-shouldered Caucasian male with dark hair and brown eyes, page 38. Clearly, H doesn't appear anything like Helen, save the signature grin. So while she might not portray herself as something non-humanoid, H's identity, while rooted in a comfortable reality of human, is completely removed from her true appearance. Thus, when her identity is revealed, she explains her actions as thus: Oasis was the best thing to happen to both women and people of color, because of the marked difference it made in how she was treated. As understood through escapers, Helen embodies H for this new level of immersion that the game can provide. No one would question her choice to render herself that way. So in this manner, Helen and H grant themselves a chance to escape who they are. when she's forced to reveal who she is, she's afraid of how Wade will react, but luckily Wade responds with, "We'd connected on a purely mental level. I understood her, trusted her, and loved her as a dear friend." Well, what follows this is a bit controversial. This part still shows that the avatar's appearance allows such a connection to be made. By Helen embracing H as an escape avatar, she's able to earnestly portray her personality. However, all that being said, Ready Player One is not a great novel. I feel desire to mention that, which is a whole separate topic for a video. But it does manage to convey the concept of avatars and all the duality along with them, and perhaps even broader, why people play video games. Whether it be Oasis, Azeroth, or Skyrim, the principles will remain the same. The concept of a game allows an individual to be absorbed and interact with the world of the game. People might have different reasons to do so, and they may not always be positive, but if Klein's goal was to show how video games have impacted us, then he succeeded. Avatars are the manifestation of people wanting to hop into the world of the game, just like anyone's wanted to enter the text of a book, jump into a cartoon, or leap into a painting. An avatar grants an individual that chance to not only observe a work of art, but to interact and form the template of art into something that you can call your own. And Ready Player One understands this, because the text devotes so much time to Chuck in his basement, Wade's self-decay, and the Sixer's lack of a real avatar. All of this displays the very definitions of what an avatar can be. So, even disregarding the rest of the subject material, Klein understands that video games have had this impact, as a piece of technology, as a piece of art, and as a reflection of humanity. But, where do you lie? Are you a projector, an idolizer, an escaper? Comment below with your answer, and I'll see you next time. Bye.